Call to order the Torrington Public Schools Board of Education meeting on Wednesday, September 5th at 5:32 p.m. If we could stand and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ellen, roll call.
Mr. Berger.
Here.
Ms. Conway.
Here.
Mr. Corey is going to be late. Mr. Cronin.
Here.
Mr. Predis.
Here.
Mr. Ucalito is excused. Ms. Helena here. Mr. Kisco.
Here.
Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mr. Putnam.
Here.
Mayor Carbona representative. Ms. Ferguson. Here. Ms. Klamazewski.
Here.
Mr. Pagola.
Here.
Mr. Petrozelli is excused. Ms. Schulte.
Here.
Ms. Vians.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Thank you. Let's see. I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda.
So moved. Thank you.
All in favor? Any discussion? Any, all in favor? Aye.
John and Glenn. Thank you.
Do we have anyone signed up for public speaking? No,
I have one phone on the line.
that wants to speak?
I don't know if they want to speak or not. Now, so they're trying to unmute themselves if they do.
Okay. No? Because I will read this if somebody wants to speak. Okay. Oh, let's see, Mr. Wilson, recognitions. Oh, did you want to speak? Oh, okay. I just saw your hand frantically waving.
Good
Okay.
evening. We have several recognitions tonight, which we're excited about. We're gonna kind of take them in order, so to speak. First is from Forbes School. I don't know if anyone has them. We're still gonna recognize them and I will present them with their certificate. Mr. Clerk.
I am proud to recognize our three interventionists, Allison Gillia, Amy Rice, and Will Sis. They are working tirelessly every single day throughout the day to make sure that students' needs are met. On average, they typically have caseloads collectively through the intervention team of about 110 to 120 students that they work through. Cycles of about 6 to 8 weeks of intervention to make sure that students are growing and students are learning. Last year at Forbes, we had tremendous academic growth across all areas and domains. And these are three primary drivers for that. They make sure that we have kids working on grade level and ready to move on to the middle school and do great things. But Forbes was able to be in the top 12% in terms of student growth, in terms of ELA last year. And I know that Mr. Kisco will love it more when we go into that SIC. But needless to say, these three individuals work tirelessly to make sure that kids are getting what they need every single day. And I am proud to recognize their efforts on behalf of Forbes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Dr. Buchanan, you're up. You have the next two chunks. That's it.
I'm actually very grateful to thank our kitchen crew. We were fortunate at Southwest School, being the smallest school, by the way. We won the carpool breakfast, like Wilson has offered for students. And our kitchen crew put their heart and soul into presenting this amazing spread. Got there bright and early, planned for it, so I would like to recognize Eris Hudson Gonzalez, Laura Lee McGovney, Marion Maldonado, and Ashley Sarda. I don't believe Marion and Ashley were able to make it, but you could come on up. Laura Lee McGovney and Eris. And by the way, our kids tell us, our fourth graders, they love our cafeteria food.
That's
They love it.
great.
We're gonna take a photo and go forward.
I work very hard. We both do.
So we're gonna step back here. If the board was, this is gonna be easier for our board member, right here. Perfect.
Welcome back.
I like this. Yeah, come right in. Oh, no, you're good. We're gonna look.
Oh, this way. Oh, I got it.
No, we're good. She'll get us everyone on the angle. Perfect.
You want everybody?
You're
Want
good.
us
Yeah,
to
we can get
so
on
we
the
can get everybody. Oh,
Okay.
Step this way up. There we go. You just stay behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, good. Thank you.
All right, and then this next recognition is rather involved. The work it took to bring our drumming dragons together to perform at the state special ed competition really started months before it happened. There were rehearsals throughout summer school because they were all in, ESY, and we had people come in to help keep the lessons going, so the skill set was maintained. And then organizing the transportation and then getting the equipment to and from. Dean Pergola was great at helping us get that. And then Chris Paganini, and we drove the equipment in at 6 o'clock in the morning, so it was staged early. You just wouldn't believe the hours and hours. The staff made sometimes 3, 4, 5 calls to every student's family to remind them. And then we had some of our staff ride the elementary bus in the morning to get them to the the middle school bus run in the morning to get them to the middle school. So they had to be picked up early because we had to get to Hartford earlier. It was amazing how the team came together. So I'm so proud of this group. So it's middle school and Southwest staff. But when I call your name, I don't have everyone here, but please come up. Our para educator of the year for the district, Jessica Brown. Michelle Castellano is the music teacher that helped. I know she couldn't be here tonight. Kara Centrella, the nurse at the middle school. Nicole English, para in the program. Connie Erickson, para in our program. Ashley Baricki, who helped organize busing and our charter bus to get us there. Thank you, Ashley. Leah Giacomino, also para in the program. Amanda Dodbout, the teacher in the program at the time. She couldn't make it tonight. She was planning on being here, but she couldn't. Sue Hardy, para in the program. Laura Klimaszewski, our director, who supported this initiative from the very beginning. We would not have Drumming Dragons if she didn't give us a chance to try this. So thank you. Trisha Larcombe, para at DLC. Mr. Mann, teacher in DLC. Marianne Messenger, para in DLC. I have some middle school people, Deborah Merning, Rebecca Mascaro, Cheryl Pekka, Greta Schnitzler, if I'm saying it right. Julie Schlaffer is para in DLC, Jocelyn Pimentel, DLC. Dean, you gotta get up here too, because you were behind the scenes logistics, so he's up here. And I think I have everybody, but it gives, okay, he's on the phone, probably taking care of another situation. Yeah. Just a picture of all these names. And to multiply that by hours, that's what it took to bring this event together, and they performed beautifully.
It was amazing. We were in the audience.
We got to hear them last year.
It was awesome.
It was 500 people or something.
Yeah, oh, at least.
It was amazing. So thank you all.
You got it up now, you know. We have a world-class photographer.
Award winning.
I know.
You can see Marissa, she's.
There we go. Am I looking the wrong way?
Thank you.
I'll make sure.
And Mr. Scott from the high school. Or Mr. March. Oh, Mr. Marchand. Perfect.
Thank you.
I'll let Mr. Marchand talk a little bit more about the internships, or the students in the internships that are going to be recognized this evening. Torrington High School, as you may recall from our presentation at the SIC committee not so long ago, college and career pathways are a big part of what we're taking on right now. A huge part of that is to provide students with internship opportunities so that they can explore and more thoroughly analyze whether or not different careers are the right careers for them. So Mr. Marchand, we'll talk a little bit more about the internship opportunities we recall and public.
Yeah, we ended up having over 16 students join the internship program. It was started through Northwest Regional Workforce Investment Board. Excuse me, as part of that big grant where they're working to invest back in the community of healthcare and manufacturing. And now I think they're starting a new one in construction as well. But we jumped on the healthcare train of this about 3 or 4 years ago when it was really early stages to get involved. And they took Torrington under their wing as one of the pilots of the program initially. We had some great Great competition for the internships, actually. We had a lot of students that wanted to apply, and we had more that wanted to do it again. Charlotte Hungerford has been outstanding for us. They did a great job bringing them in, holding them under the wings, and really helping the students try and find unique opportunities in medical care, which you don't usually get that upfront. I mean, we had students that got to see C-sections and just some crazy opportunities. Oh, yeah. It was awesome. And the return on what we had from that students work was excellent. And the staff at McCall were fantastic. They got some really up close personal stories that really affected them. It was a great experience for everybody. I think for the staff that got to see our students, they said our students were exceptional, just outstanding. They did a great job representing the school in the district. So, I mean, there's a lot to keep talking about it, but they did an excellent job. So really thank them for what they did.
Great.
So we have, I'll give you the names. We have Ainsley Campbell. We had a lot more, but there's soccer games going on tonight. We have a lot of other events. People got called in for work, I think, because of soccer games. We have Erica Mello. Then we have Emerson Niddle.
Move our recipients back to work.
Okay. Apologize for my late arrival. There's some sort of emergency on Route 4 that closed the whole road and it took me a while to get here. But I'm told that that wraps up our recognitions. So we'd love to hear from our student representatives.
My name is Emerson Niddle, and my name is Erica Mello, and we will be your student presenters tonight. This past summer, we took part in the Health Connect Summer Internship. This internship provided our THS students with an invaluable opportunity to engage in hands-on, job-embedded learning within the healthcare field. This experience significantly enhanced our insights and are essential for future health careers. We took a survey before and after this internship experience. Survey results from participating students revealed the positive impact of the internship, with 85% expressing a strong interest in pursuing a healthcare-related career, a notable increase from 73% prior to the program. Furthermore, an impressive 89% rated their internship experience and supervisor as excellent, reflecting the quality of mentorship and support they received. Additionally, the likelihood of students pursuing college after high school rose by over 10%, demonstrating the program's effectiveness in fostering academic and professional aspirations. In other news, our school year at Torrington High School is off to a great start. On September 5th, Torrington High School hosted Welcome Back Night with a great turnout of families attending to meet their students, teachers, and explore their schedules. It was great to see so many families actively supporting their students. We're excited about the opportunity to host a similar event in our brand new building this winter and look forward to welcoming even more families to celebrate with us. In academic news, in Ms. Dabani's biology class, students investigated the physiological changes experienced by marathon runners during strenuous exercise. In this lab, they tested the effect of carbon dioxide production on increased activity levels. Using a chemical indicator that changes color in the presence of CO2, students gained insights into how the body responds to intense physical exertion. This experiment highlighted the relationship between exercise and respiratory function, enhancing students' understanding of human biology.
Ms. Tyler and Ms. Norge's classes also had the privilege of hosting Katie Pagano, a former Torrington High School student from the class of 2021, who is currently a senior at Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Katie, who specializes in molecular and membrane biological research, delivered an inspiring presentation to our biotech and anatomy classes. She discussed the real-world applications of biotechnology, shared insights about women in STEM, and detailed her experiences, including her recent research stints in Hong Kong and at the University of Wisconsin with leading scientists. Her presentation not only provided valuable information about pursuing careers and degrees in STEM, but also prompted engaging questions from students about job opportunities and college pathways in this field. Mrs. Brewer's Introduction to Allied Health Professions UConn class practiced for future guest speakers, with Ms. Brewer serving as a presenter, sharing her skills and experiences as an athletic trainer. Her Allied Health class then had the pleasure of hosting Tim Gregus, the program director for the Surgical Technology program at Manchester Community College. Mr. Gregus's visit provided a valuable opportunity for students to gain insights into the field of surgical technology. During this presentation, he detailed the day-to-day responsibilities of a surgical technologist and answered students' questions about the career path. This engaging session allowed students to explore the profession more deeply and understand the practical aspects of working in this vital healthcare role. On Saturday, September 7th, the Torrington High School Band had the exciting opportunity to participate in the annual UConn Band Day held at Manchester Field, joining 15 other high school bands from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts. Our students engaged in enriching sectional rehearsals alongside the UConn Band. The day was further highlighted by attending the UConn football game, where the Huskies triumphed with a score of 63-17. The experience culminated in a spectacular mass band halftime show, featuring over 1,000 students performing together on the field. This event provided our students with a unique and memorable performance experience. On September 11th, the AFJROTC held a memorial service on the THS turf to honor the lives lost 23 years ago. Students, faculty, and staff, along with Mr. Wilson and Ms. Fergonso, gathered to reflect on this tragic day and the unity that emerged from it in our nation. Lastly, we are thrilled to announce that Coach Tyler has been named the Northeast Region Inspiring Track and Field Coach of the Year by the Brooks Running Inspiring Coaches Program. After receiving over 1,000 nominations, Coach Tyler stood up for his exceptional leadership and positive impact on his team, creating an environment where every achievement is celebrated and support is always available. To honor this achievement, Runner Space will feature Coach Tyler's story on National Coaches Day, which is October 6th. Congratulations, Coach Tyler, and thank you for your incredible dedication and influence. Thank you for listening, and that concludes our Torrington High School Board Report.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. You are more than welcome to stay with us for the rest of our meeting if you have a special passion for the minutia of government, but don't feel like you have to stay. So we will move right into the superintendent report. Take it away, Mr. Wilson.
Good evening. Great job, ladies. Awesome. Opening of schools was very smooth and successful. Thank you to all that made that possible. Custodians, staff, teachers, everyone at central office. Special thank you to Co-Chair DePretis, who came for our convocation. It was a great event. For those of you who saw it in the paper, I was in the dunk tank. I'm sad to report to the board that we do not have that many talented pitchers. So while we work very hard at educating our students, throwing a baseball is definitely not one of our strong suits. I apologize for that, except for Mr. Provost, who was very good. Special thanks to Chief Baldwin and the Torrington PD, who continue to be a valuable team member, and they provided us with extra police presence at each of our buildings for our drop-off and dismissal on that first day and actually that first week of school. So special recognition to them. Mrs. Ferguson, Ms. Klimaszewski, and I got to cheer on those Drumming Dragons as they performed at the Bureau of Special Education's annual Welcome Back to School meeting. Our students absolutely did an amazing job, and it was a long ride for a lot of adults and for the students especially to get up there and to put on their best performance, and they did an amazing job and received a standing ovation from the crowd. So very honored to be part of that. Mrs. Ferguson and I also had the wonderful opportunity to present to the Connecticut State Department of Education's Board of Education meeting on our cell phone policy and its implementation here in Torrington. We got the opportunity to share our story and its implementation and how it's continually going in schools. And it was very well received by all who attended. The questions that were asked, it was supposed to be a 5-minute presentation, maybe with a 5-minute Q&A. And Sue and I were there for approximately 30 minutes, and it was very well received, and they reached out to us and sent us a note thanking us as well. So it was a great opportunity to share Torrington's story with the state. As our student representative shared, a sad day, 9/11 for a lot of us who remembered that, but the ROTC did an amazing job really commemorating that day. And the memorial ceremony was wonderful to attend. It was beautiful. Our sports teams are off to a fabulous start. Over, girls and boys teams, so we're very proud of all of our student athletes and the efforts that they put in both in and outside the classroom. Mrs. Ferguson and I have been around to all of the buildings in order to witness firsthand all of the great things that our teachers and staff are doing each and every day, and really getting the opportunity to talk to our students and to really see the work that's going on day in and day out. And as a board to share, you should be very proud. They've really just hit the ground running right where they left off in June. Obviously, summer was great, but they've really just picked up where they left off. And you heard the accolades this evening that Mr. Klein shared, and that's just one highlight. And all of our schools are doing the same and really moving things forward. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. And I want to also just thank and commend you for the leadership it took to cancel school recently when there was even a possible threat. I know it's a hard decision to make, but I have some friends and relatives in other school districts who did not close their schools. And many students weren't in school anyway. Many members of the team weren't in school anyway because it's just very stressful. So I just want to thank you for your leadership on that front. It sucks to lose a day of school, but it's important to keep everybody as safe as we possibly can. So with that, I open it up to the board for questions or remarks on the superintendent's report. Okay, hearing none. We will move it to the human resources report. Take it away, Kim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you again kind of have a shortened version of my normal report, just because we haven't finished the first full month of school yet. So I didn't want to be like a month behind. So I just kind of gave you kind of a snapshot of where we are in time. You can see the vacancies that I had presented to you in August and kind of where we are right now. We're still moving on those candidates. We are struggling with the pool in a couple of areas, but I'm optimistic that we're going to have that some of those positions filled by the next time that we meet. We're doing an excellent job also with the classified. And then I did want to share our month-to-date numbers for the substitute fill rates, because those have been tremendous. So I have to give a huge shout out to our partners at ESS, particularly with the improvement in the teacher fill rates. Our para fill rates are about at the same place that they were at this time last year, which is higher than they were in previous years. But our teacher fill rates are substantially higher than where they've been previous years. We were in the 30s and the 40s last year, pretty much every month. And we have consistently been in the high 70s, low 80s since the beginning of the school year. So really, I just want to thank them and share that update with the board. And they're continuing to look at it every single day. So, we're proud of that and happy with the work that ESS is doing. And then just some updates. Obviously, our insurance change for October 1st is one of the priorities that we're working on right now, making sure we get all of that buttoned up so that when we make the shift, everybody has access to what they need. Our residency programs are underway. As I think I shared last month, we have 3 second-year residents who are working under the resident educator certificate, and they have their own classrooms this year. So that's very exciting. And then we have 3 first-year residents in the district, 2 at Forbes and 1 at Vogel Wetmore in special education. So we're very excited about the fact that we're moving in both directions with the year 1 and the year 2. We are attending job fairs this month, particularly for those classified positions. So tomorrow, our team is going to be in Winstead. And then 2 weeks from now, the second week of October, we'll be at Torrington City Hall for looking for those substitutes, for our paras, for our CAF workers, for all of those classified positions, really is what we're going to be looking for. We're going to be starting to schedule our office hours and our engagement exchanges. So that's coming soon. And we have 11 student teachers and interns in the schools for fall of 2024. So that's what's up in HR. So
Thank you. And thank you for your diligence, especially in the insurance change. I don't know, but I can imagine that it's a tremendous amount of work.
Huge shout out to Ginny Kinhan. She's
Yeah,
really
I
been
actually
amazing.
emailed her
So,
yesterday.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she's been amazing and she's taking it on and we're, both of us are learning a lot in this process. So it's been educational, but it's been an exciting education.
Anyone?
I have just a quick question. The 11 student teacher and interns, are any of those Torrington High School graduates? Do you know?
Yeah, I
Just
can look at,
curious.
yes, I know of at least two. I just don't, I don't have that information, but yes, I do believe so. Yes. Yeah,
Not,
yeah,
you don't have to
Yeah.
dig deep, but
Yeah.
it'd be nice if some were.
yes.
Yeah, that's good.
I have a question as well.
Go ahead.
I must have missed something at the August meeting, but can you tell me the difference between, a resident and a, student teacher or intern?
So the residents are our residency programs that we're working on. So that's that teacher residency program with the State Department of Education, where they're studying with the State Department of Education to become teachers. And so we have two partnerships that we're working with. One is with the Connecticut Teacher Residency Program, and the other one is with the Relay Graduate Program. So we have our year 2 residents are from both of those two programs. The 3 first-year residents that we have are all 3 from the teacher residency program. We don't have any first-year people in the Relay program, but we are still partnering with Relay, obviously, because they're still supporting our year 2 candidate who is.
I'm sure you mentioned it last time, but I either didn't remember or went over my head somehow.
No, that's okay. Excellent question. No, thank you for asking.
Anyone else have anything? Okay, thank you very much. The special education report is up next. Take it away. Laura.
Sure. So does anybody need a paper copy? That's awesome. Okay, so our numbers are a little bit different than they look on the HR sheet. As of right now, we need 1 special ed teacher. And I had an applicant today, so I'm very excited. However, when I wrote this, we needed no paras, and now we need 2 because the 2 people that we had offered a position to declined it. So back to the drawing board on that. The good news is, speaking of the Torrington High School kids, is we've recently gotten a few paras that are recent graduates.
Oh, that's great.
And Sean Caviston, one of our supervisors, like he knows some of the kids from the school. And we had one that we hired and she loves it so far and told her friends who just applied as well. So that's kind of exciting. I'm not gonna talk about drumming dragons because I think we covered that already, though I do have a picture that was in the newspaper. That's there. I apologize for the quality, but TAG, we're beginning our 2nd year with a full-time teacher. We have 76 kids in TAG right now, which is a long way from our first year when we were trying to pull something together in the library. We had a couple of kids. So that's exciting. Paulina, once again, is off and running with lots of her own ideas. She is going to also do the script spelling bee. I think this was on Mary Ann's suggestion at both the 4-5s because it was successful at the middle school. So I wasn't sure she was going to want to take it on because she does the invention convention with the little guys, but she's going to do the spelling bee as well. So that'll be fun for them. In addition, she is, because we're in a better place than where we were last year, she's really going to be offering a lot of time within the general classrooms, which I'm excited about because this was a big thing I wanted when we first brought her on. She started to do it somewhat last year and the people that took advantage of it really liked it. So a teacher in one of the 3 schools that she's in can request an enrichment lesson based on whatever topic they happen to be working on. She could do whole group or small group and just really be able to provide some suggestions to classroom teachers on how to maybe differentiate for the different levels in the room. So the kids' engagement when she's been in there has been really great. So she's going to continue that and expand on that. They have their Jimmy's fundraiser going again. I put the link in there if you would like to go on and order. The kids get $4 for each ticket sold. And one thing that I didn't anticipate when we got this going was
the awards that our children would win, which then sent them places. So there was a cost associated with that. And that speaks to my last little blurb on the front here. We have 2 fifth graders, Alexander Grant and Maximus Saint Germain, that when they went to the invention convention at the end of the year, their invention, the Brush Buddy, made it to the nationals. So the nationals actually occur this year in Michigan. So they'll be going in June. So
Awesome.
buy your Jimmy's sandwiches so that we can send the kids to Michigan. We also just are starting on the 30th. I was finally able to get a person to come in and do some therapeutic music with our special ed program. So Irving Medina, who's the husband of one of our SLPs, is going to be providing therapeutic music experience once a week to our integrated pre-K programs at both schools and our self-contained programs in grades K through 8. So that'll be exciting. We also officially have our life skills teachers at TMS, Lorraine Ferrante and Kathleen Nemo. They are beginning a true Best Buddies program. So they've tried to pull it together in the past couple of years, have done a few things, but now this year they're officially, signing up for the Best Buddies program. It's a nationwide program where you have student volunteers that come in and are paired with a child with a disability, and they've just showed so much documentation, I guess, if you want to call that, of acceptance and confidence with our kids. So it's a great program, and I'm really glad that they're going to be able to get that going over there. And the last thing is that we were chosen last year to be one of only 4 districts in the state to participate in the state personal development grant. And what is basically happening is it's going to be happening just at Vogel right now. We have 2 teachers, a regular ed and a special ed teacher, that are being extensively trained in how to be a trainer to provide universal targeted and intensive support and strategies for general education teachers and special ed teachers on mathematics instruction. So it's kind of nice to have this coming on. This is a 3-year pilot. So they're going to be looking at the same group of students as they move on. So right now they're at Vogel, but as those students move on to Southwest, or it's going to look different as we move on, but we will follow those students and they'll be training their colleagues. So it'll be pretty exciting. So it was an honor to be chosen because only 4 districts were chosen, and Georgette Niemer reached out to us personally for it. So that's it.
Excellent. All good news. Thank you. Does anyone have anything for Laura? Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just have to look at my notes because I wrote some notes. The tag numbers with rate 76 is so exciting. I don't know, and I don't recall what last year's numbers were.
Oh, I'd have to go back and check for you, but I know it was a little bit lower.
Yeah.
And right now there are some students who are going to be retested. Our 8th grade numbers are really, really low.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because our 8th grade students are not as capable. I think that when the assessment was done, that, maybe somebody has said, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they're going to be reassessing some students right now, and students that missed it and students that are new to us. So the numbers are going to go up even a little bit higher, but it's just very exciting because in the beginning,
Like
we
you
had
said,
a
you were
handful
scrambling, half a dozen
at
kids.
each grade
That was
level.
it.
That was,
Yeah. That's good.
Yes, the PAC program has come a long way with your guidance and certainly with Ms. Kalacki's hard work. So thank you. Anyone else have anything? Okay, so we have received numerous liaison reports. But as always, I'd just like to open the floor to any of our administrators or liaisons to various organizations on the board, if you would care to add anything to your written reports. Great, okay. I'm sorry.
So I'd love to add what we're doing at Forbes. I didn't get mine in time. I apologize. We've had a smooth open start to our school year. We are improved our STAR testing and individuals testing. It's been super easy. Thank you to Rachel and her tech team because it's made everything a lot easier over the last couple of weeks. We've done a lot of in-house scheduling of field trips, and we've connected with a few community partners, such as the Connecticut Museum of Culture and History and Mystic Seaport, for them to come in and do some in-house lessons and assemblies for our kids to be able to do some hands-on learning, which we're really excited about. To piggyback on Laura's comment about TAG, I saw it in live action last week in Miss Patua's room, and it was fantastic. They were doing work around place value and decimals, and those kids were super engaged, and they were really having a really great extension opportunity. We have a Veterans Day assembly that we are almost fully planned on for November 11th. And we look forward to having as many there as possible. And we have recently partnered with the St. Anthony community partner, and we are looking at bringing them in to do some lessons on potential online behavior to help kind of curb some of the other things that we were just recently talking about. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? Excuse me, with a liaison report. Hearing none, we will hear the monthly financials. I don't know if you care to add in your remarks. I know Mr. Petrovelli's excuse. Can we move right past them?
Yeah, if there's any questions, they could be emailed.
Okay. So we have next up the committee reports. Mr. Kisco, as always, school improvement is first.
So the School Improvement Committee met earlier this month and heard a community partners report from Ed Advance, which was this nonstop litany of the programs that they run in the system, huge number of programs and very beneficial. And we also heard a really good report on the summer school experience, which was changes in the summer school were prompted by the Board of Ed's policy change about social promotion and requiring actual academic achievement before promotion. And which is a good thing. And I think the summer school showed that that was a good way to go. And I don't know, so would you like to say anything more about that?
No, I think you covered,
General remarks?
I think you covered it, John, but yes, I would agree wholeheartedly that summer school, we built into the policy our obligation to hold kids up and to provide ongoing support throughout the course of the year, including this summer program. It was rigorous and everybody took it very seriously, and students who did not take it seriously did not move on.
Which was the idea. And I think this points out that board policy really drives the teachers to be able to do things, allows them, gives them a little bit more authority to do things that should be done in the name of academic achievement. Coming up next week from tonight, School Improvement Committee meeting, and we will be talking about test scores, I guess, and I assume that we'll be doing the goals, or at least have a role in the goal.
Yeah, that's on the agenda
development,
tonight.
as we will discuss later in the general meeting. Yet another reason to go, and the videotape of our meeting is not videotape, how old I am. The Vimeo of our meeting is available, and I would urge anyone to watch it if you're interested in learning more about either of the things that we talked. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have anything from Mr. Kisco related to the committee's work?
I would just add that, if you haven't seen it, to check out to your point, John, about the Ed Advance presentation we received. There were so many programs that they offered that I wasn't aware of either. It's really amazing how involved they are with our students, which is such a great opportunity for them.
And that's just the first maybe 10 minutes of 15 minutes of that meeting. So
Yeah.
that's an economical way to learn about this.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
And just briefly before we go to policy, I should note that item 8B for the monthly financials generally would require a vote. So in the absence of Mr. Petrozelli and any discussion on the matter, I would just ask the unanimous consent of the board to table that until the next meeting. All right, hearing no objection. So if you just want to note that we'll have to take 2 votes at our next monthly meeting, one for this month's monthly financials and one for next month. Apologies for that. And Mr. Ugolito is not with us for policy. If anybody wants to take that on in his stead.
The only thing we had for policy this month was discussing a kind of a corporate credit card, which central office is in the midst of obtaining, if you haven't already. In order for them to buy things they need to buy without having to use their office. So that's in flight. That was the only thing that was covered in policy. We did briefly talk about, because the crosswalk, was done through Ellen's leadership a couple of years back, which took you a few years, I think, right? Wasn't it for almost 3 years you got through it? So that really right now, the policy is in a position where they don't need to meet every month unless there's a need to. And we just kind of left it up in the air. I don't know if we need to officially vote on that or just make a public comment that policy will likely meet as needed. We did, and we'll get into that a little bit after, but that was all that was discussed.
I know the board's calendar is adopted by vote of the board, but generally. Our past practice has been that if we need to cancel, postpone, or move a meeting. That we can just do so with, as long as there's enough notice. So if policy elects not to meet, they'll just have to let our team know within a reasonable time beforehand so that it can be posted. I don't think that we would need to vote, and right, if we were to vote, then we wouldn't be able to hold those meetings, so it's probably
Good to
better
just
not
let
to do
it-
so.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Anyone have anything related to policy?
I have a question on for the credit cards.
Mhm.
Doesn't that come before the board for the board to vote on?
It's in here.
On our
Yeah,
agenda.
it's in here, yeah. I think it's at the bottom. Ellen.
Yeah, it's the very last
Yeah.
item.
It's here. It's at the end.
So they didn't already get the card?
No.
We have to vote
Oh, that's
on
right. So no, it wasn't done
Because
yet.
you
Yes.
said, okay.
It was in the.
I just wanted
right,
to
no.
know there.
Thank you very much. for clarifying. We have not done anything wrong.
Uh,
Follow the rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Budget committee.
Budget's budget. We went over June, July, and August because we haven't done that yet. There were questions. We talked about the questions that Scott will come back next month with answers for us because he didn't have them readily available, which is understandable. We discussed the impact of a move on the existing high school to the new high school, continuing discussion. And we talked about establishing a non-lapsing reserve account, which continuing discussion, I believe it's on.
It's on tonight.
It's on our agenda tonight. So it's keep on keeping on.
Anyone have anything related to budget? Okay. Moving right along, facilities and technology. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, Rachel's doing a great job with the new website, that's coming along pretty good. Getting some good traffic. We're also getting a handle on our device protection plan. We're behind on as far as people enrolling so far, but we have till the end of this month. We spoke about extending that. We'll see what comes in there. Dean and facilities, he's wrapping up some projects that are gonna be for this year. And the big one coming on is the Torrington Middle School roof bid. That's getting prepared. We have a timeline for that. And we also started with the Siemens, what's that called again? The
Retro commission, they started
Retro commission
last week,
project.
actually.
0% loan with Eversource to get some work done on the facilities.
Great. Anyone have any questions related?
I'd like to have, as far as, I know Mr. Wilson talked about convocation. I just wanted, to thank St. Paul's Church, Lighthouse Church, for allowing us to park there that day. Torrington PD helped out a lot, also, Dustin Ball just gave me a layout how to park, cars in those locations, along with Torrington Ford allowed us to use their parking lot. John Lucas owns a property up the street from there, right across the school, and he allowed us to use their parking. So it was a big effort and a lot of people helping out, allowing us to use the parking here to make it a success. So.
And your guys were right on point too. They
Yeah,
were all lined up in
absolutely.
different areas, just ready to point people to where to go and talking on their walkie-talkies. It was a very well-run machine that day for the hundreds and hundreds of people that were here. That was very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work there. And just as I recall with the device protection plan last year, I think it was a similar issue where we kind of were lagging in terms of the enrollment right up until the end, and lots of folks signed up last minute. So definitely keep us posted, but my hope would be that it'll be the same pattern again, and that we'll get sufficient numbers of people enrolled. Anyone have anything else to add related to facilities and or technology? Okay, building committee. I just want to briefly remark here before I turn it over to somebody else, that the co-chairs of the building committee reached out. They seemed a little bit alarmed about our discussion related to the naming of the buildings. So I just want to make it clear, that what we were talking about in relation to attorneys was just that if they needed legal advice on whether we had to name the buildings certain things. So I'm not sure how it got started, that they became alarmed that we were talking about lawyers in terms of legal action, but that's absolutely not the case.
No.
As much as we may occasionally have disagreements, we fully support the building committee in their work, and have no intentions of taking any adverse action against them. So I just want to make that clear at the outset. And now, if somebody who spends more time with the building committee than I do wants to take it away and tell us a little bit about what's going on, we would certainly love.
Probably Hanson Scary is not here.
I can definitely take that. I think, things are progressing really well. Building committee gave a tour to the administrators last week, and it was amazing. I mean, the work that's been done is phenomenal. Everyone is working really hard, looking forward for us to move in there after midterms this year. So we're right on track at the building committee. A couple of items were shared and back and forth was had, and everything is still on the plan to move in. And I really think that's the focus, and I think that's where our focus is. And I know Dean doesn't get enough credit. Dean has really been immersed in this and working very closely with both Marley and as well as ONG to really kind of just make sure I's are dotted and T's are crossed. So we are partners, and we're looking forward to the move, and we're looking forward to the brand new building. And I can tell you, being in there, it's amazing. It's really, there's no other word that comes to mind. I mean, you walk that building, and if you don't walk out smiling, I don't know what will do it for you. But that definitely did it for us that day. And I know the administrators were very, very, very appreciative of having that opportunity to tour it. So really just overall excitement. And I do think that, while with anything, right, when we're coming closer to the finish line, there's a lot of anxiety. But I do think that everyone is focused on just getting in there and really looking forward to using the facility and having the best opportunity for our students and staff. And it's going to provide our students with the best learning space that we can offer. So kudos to everyone who's making that happen.
Yeah, it really is tremendous to watch the building go up. The first time I was there, Ellen and I had to go up these shaky outdoor scaffolding stairs with Kathy Toder, and it was a journey to get up to the roof there. So, it really has come a long way. I couldn't be more excited to see our students in there. Anyone have anything to add? Yeah.
I think it's also worth noting that the building is approaching going live on time and on budget. So there are still a few little things that along the way that have changed, but for all intents and purposes, we are good to go.
I just had a question, maybe for Mr. Wilson, I'm not sure. There's a lot of chatter regarding sharing of classrooms and sizes and the ability to hold the number of students we have. Can you shed some light on that for me?
Sure.
So when I'm asked those questions, I can properly answer.
Absolutely. I think, while that was a concern, and I heard that prior to even taking the seat way back when, I can tell you, Mr. Scott has done a really good job assuring the teachers and obviously, and taking them in to see it. I think once people see it and realize that the space can accommodate everyone, and yes, they will be sharing classrooms. That is the reality. And it's anytime you do any new building project, it does go by our numbers, and that dictates how big and how much you can do. But I can tell you that the amount of shareable space, not only in the classroom, but when you have your non-teaching period in those common workrooms, those workrooms are really tremendous. And, one of our administrators commented, and I won't call them out, but they said, this is spa-like if we put some tables in there. So it really is amazing. It really is.
They're really nice.
So it's going to be more than enough space. And that was a concern, but yes, the classroom reality of shared classrooms is a reality. And I can tell you that's a reality for a lot of high schools and middle schools across the country, not just here in Torrington. But the space And the usable space and the space when you're not teaching is more than enough for teachers.
Thank you.
And with regard to the number of students, some of the history there, I think this all happened well before you came on board. But some of our team will remember, we actually went back to the state when, right in the middle of the early phase of the project, our enrollment started to go up. And we did a second enrollment review, and they did revise up the number of square feet that they were going to reimburse as part of the project. So it was something that caused a lot of concern. But they were very accommodating. It took some doing on their part and ours. But we were able to scale up the reimbursable size of the building as our student numbers went up. So even though there is still going to be the classroom sharing and stuff, the situation would have been a lot more cramped if we weren't able to pull that off. So there was some work done on it as well to make sure that we can meet our future enrollment. Anyone else have anything related to the building committee? Okay. So we have, the redistricting ad hoc committee status, myself. Yeah. Yeah, so the redistricting ad hoc committee, its work has been closed. The board had some discussion about this, members will recall, about what the committee's mandate actually was, where we actually were in the process, and what future work needed to be done. I understand that it is quite frustrating to get what effectively amounts to a Dear John email, and that one's on me. But what we decided.
You don't have to take the hit alone.
So what we decided as a group, as a board, was that the redistricting plan in its current condition, the committee's work really wasn't going to move it forward, and that's not to disparage the committee, but to reflect the fact that we now need to flesh out that redistricting plan, put some more hard numbers into it budget wise, and on the scheduling and the buses. And that's the kind of work that our administrative team needs to carry out before we then reintroduce our draft redistricting plan. And at that point, again, invite community, our staff, our faculty, et cetera, to meaningfully participate. But what we saw at those meetings was lots of questions and lots of answers. But it got to the point where there needed to be some actual in-office work done to flesh out the plan. And that kind of work simply doesn't happen via committee. So that was the nature of that decision. But again, as I wrote and said earlier, I will say again, the draft redistricting plan won't simply be quietly reintroduced and voted on by the board. We intend for it to be as open and public a process as possible. And certainly my vested interest is to take that feedback as we make decisions as a board. And I hope that the other members of the board feel the same. We don't want anyone to think that we've just given up on listening to them. I know that it can feel that way, and I recognize that. So I hope that in the coming few months, folks will give the board the opportunity to prove that we really mean it, that we intend to continue inviting people to participate in the redistricting process. So that's all I have. I don't know if either of you want to share anything before we.
If you covered the thing.
Does anyone have any questions or remarks related to that or the redistricting process in general? Okay. Hearing none. Now we have to do some voting. So I have the Board of Education meeting minutes for the regular meeting on August 21st, 2024, as well as the Board of Education special meeting minutes from August 28th and September 10th, 2024. Without objection from the board, I would hear a motion to approve those as one unit.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Made by Mr. Knight and seconded by Mr. Kisco. Any discussion on the question before us? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so those minutes are approved. I will do the same for the subcommittee meeting minutes without objection to hear them as one motion, but I'll read them out. So it's budget from August 14th, Facilities from August 14th, policy and sick from June 5th, and the building committee from June 20th, July 18th, and August 15th, all in 2024. I will hear such a motion to receive them if there is one.
Second.
Made by Mr. Knight, seconded by Mr. Kisco. Any discussion on the question before us? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so those minutes are received. We'll hear a motion as well to receive the consent agenda, appointments, retirements, and resignations.
Second.
Made by Ms. Price, seconded by Mr. Putnam. Is there any discussion on the question before us? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that's received. New information and action. So we have a couple of field trips that I'm sure somebody would like to tell us all about.
Yeah, and you know what, honestly, so that I'm gonna defer to our principals, Shelley and Ryan are both here. The Washington DC trip is the trip that, you know, we do at our middle school for our 8th graders every year. There's a slight change this year. You wanted to share why the dates were changed, but it was really to benefit, to help out, right, as an advantage to our families.
Absolutely. There were two reasons why we were looking to go a little bit earlier. The first reason was.
Can you speak up, please?
Oh, sorry. There's two reasons why we were actually looking to change the date. The first was logistical reason within Washington DC. As going on the trip last year, a lot of time was spent in traffic because it's so busy there. We learned that there would be 2 additional major functions happening in Washington DC, and the trip provider advised us that that would incur additional delays in busing, being able to park the buses. On top of that, we were looking at the costs. The cost has been escalating. We looked at different trip providers. We switched over last year to help with the cost. When we ended up with the cost for this year, they had skyrocketed quite a bit. So in moving it earlier, we were also able to incur less of a cost for our students. So we're trying to make it more accessible for everyone.
I was gonna ask about the cost, because I did notice it went down pretty significantly, and that's because of moving it earlier.
That, and it is one less night. So we did pull out the one night. What we will be missing, we took out Mount Vernon, but that was kind of a moot point because we could not tour it this year because they're doing renovations. But we were able to include an additional museum as well as an IMAX in the Air and Space.
Yeah, so it's still a great trip, a great experience, and I think going a little bit earlier and not having to.
Well, it's not as hot.
Right, the heat.
Aren't the cherry blossoms
crowds.
out in April too?
They are, they do come out early, so,
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
high reason for going at that time of year.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It is a really, really great trip.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And we still feel it's gonna be an amazing trip. It ends up being $320 less per
I
student.
noticed that, it was over $1,000 last year.
Yeah, it would have been up this
Yeah.
year, it would have been up over 1,200.
It is a great trip. My daughter went on it when she was in 8th grade and got a lot out of it. Came home, told me stuff I didn't know.
It's great to hear.
Yeah. So that's the DC trip. The next one in your packet is the Model UN. This is an extracurricular club, Brian, correct?
So Model UN is an extracurricular club, as Mrs. Ferguson just said. Model UN competitions are usually multiple day competitions. Students are assigned when they arrive to represent a different country. Those countries then get sent to committee. They discuss ongoing political events as well as made up crisis situations and draft legislation and draft proposals, and then go to committee to vote on those. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity for the students. The one that's in your packet is at Yale University. And it's one of the most prestigious Model UN competitions in the country.
Have any questions for Mrs. Ferguson or either of our administrators during these field trips? Okay, while I remained embittered that I was never able to go on a Washington DC trip in 8th grade, I will hear a motion to approve the Washington DC field trip.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight and seconded by Mr. Putnam. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the Washington DC trip is approved. I will also hear a motion to approve the New Haven Model UN field trip if there is one.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight and seconded by Mr. Putnam. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so both field trips are approved by the board.
Thank you very much.
And Ed, in terms of your, in terms of your embitterment of not being able to go to Washington, I have 3 words for you. Get over it.
I've been a few times since I've seen a president inaugurated at, I've gotten my fill of the Capitol now, but I never got to go.
On the actual trip.
Yeah, I
Somebody
never
bring him
got to
back a
go as a
t-shirt.
student. Okay, so
I'm kidding with you, Ed.
no, I just want to move right ahead here to the agenda item is fiscal year 23-24 letter. What we are seeking is for the board to authorize and or direct the administration to request that the city move accept when we transfer any remaining surplus from the last fiscal year, that they accept it and then transfer it into capital reserve for our use for certain capital projects. This is pretty standard. We've done this for many years. The amounts vary, sometimes very low, sometimes quite high. And ultimately, the authority does rest with the Board of Finance and other organs of city government. So we have, just gonna read out the amount. I'm not gonna read you the letter. So the motion I am seeking is a motion to authorize and direct the superintendent to request in writing to the mayor that the city transfer our surplus of $302,601.17 from last fiscal year into a capital reserve fund for projects to be determined by the board. So I'm happy to answer any questions or pass them along to the administration, but otherwise I would be seeking such a motion.
So.
Okay, made by Mr. Putnam and seconded by Ms. Honan. Any discussion or debate on the question before us?
Yeah, question, did we fund the turf replacement within surplus this past year? I did not believe it was in the it was originally in the capital, but when we got the zero, I think it was taken out.
And you know, we've discussed this at joint meetings with the city many times in the last couple of years. It is ultimately their responsibility. They are bound by the state's bond covenant. So while we have been generous partners in putting some money aside for that project, ultimately it does fall squarely on the city. The city of Torrington will have to pay the state back for all the money if they do not fund the turf replacement. It would not fall on the board. So we've been extra nice to them by setting some money aside, but it's their responsibility ultimately. And if they continue to zero out our capital, when we continue to request monies to budget for this replacement, then they're gonna have to figure it out. And if that means they have to bond it, that means that they're the ones who signed the deal with the state of Connecticut, not us.
No, thank you.
Anyone else have anything related to the motion on the table? Okay, then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries, so you'll go ahead and get that process rolling. The Alliance grant proposal, I don't have a packet in front of me.
I have our world-renowned grant writer, Miss Labby here, and she could go through some highlights and answer any questions that the board may have.
I guess that's.
Yeah. It's 20, but that's okay.
So yes, it's that time of year again. The Alliance grant has been written and it's been initially vetted by our state contact. So right now, it's just basically a time for you to, if you have any questions, it was in the packet, it was published, you know, publicly. To feel free to ask us any questions. It's pretty much status quo. There's some funds in there to update our technology because of the end of life cycle for some of our technology. and a few other positions for climate and culture and special projects, the math program implementation. I didn't know if anybody had any other questions, but basically that's where we're at.
And you did, I think I just heard you say that it's been sort of pre-vetted
Yes.
by the folks of the
Yeah.
state, so they're prepared to approve it.
Correct.
Okay. Anyone have anything? Yeah.
This is for expenditure in the 24-25 school
Correct.
year.
Anyone else? Okay, you're good. Look easy.
All right.
So I would hear a motion to approve the Alliance grant proposal and to authorize the administration to submit it for state approval.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight. Seconded by Ms. Conway. Any discussion on the question before us? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries and the Alliance grant proposal is moving right along. Thank you for your work as always, everybody on this. I know the Alliance program can be difficult to deal with at times. Board goals 24-25. You want to lead? discussion on
Sure,
that?
yeah, I just added that, John mentioned it earlier in his school improvement discussion, it's just really to bring it up and hand it off to school improvement to take a look, John, and see what,
What we've done every year.
right, yeah, just formalizing it for you.
Great. No vote would be needed as long as everybody agrees, then we can just refer this to the school improvement committee.
And it's really the same for the self-evaluation. John and I had a little bit of back and forth. He presented a couple of good ideas on how to do a self-evaluation of different questions or different ways to do it, which I thought was great. So I don't know if you want to take that on school improvement. There's really no deadline, I don't think.
We could, but maybe you'd like to explain what we've discussed so far.
So we talked about a kind of almost like a not really a survey monkey, was it?
Wouldn't be Survey Monkey, no, we would just come up with questions ourselves.
Yeah, so there was a couple questions that John had posed, and we did this for portrait of a graduate. The same type of a survey went out, and it's called, what's the format that we use? Sue, do you remember?
Yeah, now you're on, yeah.
Okay,
as soon
I
as
don't mean to
set
put you
it
on the
up,
spot,
Oh
but-
my God, what, oh, with thought exchange.
Yes, and it wasn't that exact same thing, but it's the same concept where you put out a question. I didn't even gather, I have the questions in our email that you could.
Those are just examples. They were
Yes,
bad
but you could ask, no, they were pretty good. You could, ask it a question, put it out, this is for us, and I don't know if we want to include central office, our administrators, we could talk about that. And what it does is it takes back everybody's answers, kind of jumbles the words and outputs some kind of a response. Where if people, 10 people had the same thought on communication and 3 people had the same thought on this topic. So it would, I think, give us a good range of
Basically run it
growth.
through AI. And let AI take a look at it.
I'm not a huge fan. I don't like to throw AI out there because some people don't. They could get a little.
AI has uses.
It does, there's,
AI uses
positives
as
and,
well, but it-
yeah, right.
And we would get the originals anyway, so.
Right, and be able to look through it, do it that way, but it's just, why not? It came up over the summer. And just some communications that I had gotten, not anything we have to do, it's recommended, and I think it's good for growth.
About this in school improvement, because it would be sort of interesting to run the board results separately from anyone else you might care to.
That's a good idea, that's a really good idea, yeah, there's different ways we could do it. And then how are you perceived by others?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway.
So,
We
just,
used to send everything to policy, by the way. So now we're sending everything to school.
yeah.
Okay.
You don't mind?
There was a conflict of the personnel.
Yeah, right. And then I think, okay, I'm gonna just keep going because this next one too, the subcommittee meeting schedule. We talked about policy, we've talked about school improvement. I think it's important that we keep it because you do have community partners continue the schedule that we have, because it's not like policy, right, where you could, you don't have something every month. The only thing that I'd like to talk about with the board and just put out there for us to think about, right now, school improvement has the distinct privilege of getting all of our district results and test scores and everything like that before anybody else gets them, which I think is great. And it does require us to participate or attend the school improvement meetings, which is that's a whole other topic. So I just want to put it out there for us to think about, not for this month, because we've anxiously been waiting for the test scores. But I don't want to put our staff in a position where they have to do the same presentation twice, once for school improvement, once for board. Because I think the board wants to see it too. So I'm just putting that out there for all of us to think about, is there a way, what's the best way to handle it? Aside from having all of us come to the same meeting, I don't know, it's just something to think about.
You're right about the redundancy.
Mhm.
There's no sense in having the same presentation in a subcommittee meeting and a presentation at the board level. School improvement's always done this, so we have the maybe more experience in looking at these. And we should every member of the board should be looking at the state on, what Ed
This
sites, is
website.
that the,
Yes.
the site within the SDE website, but we wouldn't have to have a we could have a preliminary discussion in school improvement. Preliminary discussion, just to prepare anybody who cares or anyone who wants to watch the Vimeo
Mhm.
for what to expect. The full board should hear these.
Yeah.
And we should hear these in a forum that includes as many people as we get for the board meeting, and presumably more people watch the board Vimeos than watch any subcommittee Vimeo as well. So, this is a very important topic. The test results are very important.
Very significant
And,
for us.
anyway, that's.
All right.
That's all I.
So just to, let's keep that on you keep that in your mind when you're doing your agendas.
The October School Improvement Committee meeting, and we'll see how much time we spend, and we'll expect to be going before the full board with the same.
With more detailed information.
Right, and I would say having the committee still preliminarily discuss these things would give whoever the presenter is the opportunity to incorporate any, questions they didn't consider, et cetera. I don't want to monopolize what Kristen said her hand.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, that's fine. Not so much in terms of the test scores, but I did bring up this concern at our subcommittee meeting. My concern was more for the staff member, not so much the administrator who had to then take 2 nights away from her family or his family or drive from wherever they're from. That was my concern.
Okay.
If they're going to be presenting the same thing twice,
Right.
then that's time that it's their own time, it's their time away from their family. That would be my concern in terms of the staff member, like, for example, the tag program that Paulina did for us was an absolutely wonderful presentation. We heard it twice, but that was twice she had to be there.
Yeah, it was a great presentation.
It was a
And
great presentation.
Yeah, I didn't realize until recently that it was done at school improvement and at the full board meeting,
And we didn't realize at school improvement.
that it was gonna be done at, right, so,
Redundant for all of us.
yeah, right, oh, I'm sure, you would listen to it twice, so I think, yeah, that's good, we all have it on our radar to kind of just keep in mind as you're going through your agendas, John, and then we can look at the best way to handle it, but
What we have to watch for, though, if we're talking about cutting back meetings, is what happened to Region 20. They have, I shouldn't say they,
Please.
but you know what I'm going to say, because the superintendent at Region 20 talked about the schedule that they had, that was one night a month, that had committee meetings.
oh, yeah,
And
that, we
then-
didn't like that schedule when he presented it to us anyway,
Exactly,
yeah.
we didn't, but, and they got stung. The result of that was what
That's an
we're watching in the
understatement,
paper,
right.
and their cautionary tale.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think as far as facilities and budget, that's so active, that has to, that will continue to go as it does in school improvement. I think it really just, now that we've kind of dissected this topic, policy is the only one that doesn't necessarily have to meet every month if there's nothing to talk about.
And
then
as-
we have that prerogative. like you said.
Right, yeah, as we've established, we can simply cancel or postpone meetings.
As needed.
As needed, as long as we do our level best to do so in a reasonable time frame, so that not only anybody who might want to come from the public, but also our members of our team know well enough in advance that they can actually use that time.
Free time,
Uh,
yeah.
So.
Okay, good.
Anyone else have anything
Thing.
to add? Okay, so you didn't want to chair any meetings, you knocked out 3 agenda.
I
items.
know.
So we next have establishing a non-lapsing reserve account. Some folks have probably heard us talk about this before. That a few years ago, the state changed the law to allow non-lapsing accounts for boards of education, provided they were established by the municipality. In the most recent legislative session, or maybe it was 2 legislative sessions ago, They further changed that law, having recognized that there are certain boards of education that have less than optimal relationships with their municipalities. That would allow the Board of Education the authority to establish that. What we mean by non-lapsing account is that up until now, boards of education have not been able to hold any money over year. It made it difficult for them to do things like establish self-insurance funds, right? Which is why ours was stewarded by the city. But it also means that our capital accounts are stewarded by the city. Like we just recently discussed. So what we are seeking would be a motion and vote authorizing and directing the superintendent or designee to establish a non-lapsing reserve account in accordance with the law. That's the motion that I would seek, if there is one, although of course we can also discuss the matter further before anyone makes a motion. Hearing no discussion, I will hear such a motion if there's.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, made by Mr. Knight and seconded by Mr. Berger. Any additional discussion or debate on the question before us? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries. The administration is so authorized and directed. And our last item is policy number 3052, use of credit cards. Again, I don't have a packet in front of me. If somebody wants to tell us a little bit about that before we hear a motion.
This was brought to the policy subcommittee. It's included in here, and it's really just to provide central office with the use of a corporate credit card. So they don't have to continue to use their own cards for subscriptions and to buy whatever you might need to do in the course of your, and Rachel, I think especially.
Wait,
A lot of technology stuff
Yeah.
and not you
I
friendly.
understand that
They use their own
that
cards
we're just writing reimbursements to
Yes.
folks every month for.
That's correct.
Yes.
What a.
after they have to submit the
nightmare.
request. Isn't,
Okay.
yeah, so much extra work. So this policy gives them the authority to go get a
Right.
corporate credit card.
And there would obviously be, processes and,
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
the standard accountability that comes with buying something with a government
Yeah,
credit card.
I don't know if we can make it a line item on our monthly financials or however we can capture, call it. Do you have the ability in New World to name a new?
We'd have to look into that a little more, but what would be nice is the fact that it would be the corporate credit card, and just like any other credit card, we will get a statement, so that could be easily presented to at the budget subcommittee to say that these were the purchases, these how they're back up, and then everything just meshes
Okay.
right out of the account.
Works for you, budget?
It's very clean
Yeah,
and easy.
it wouldn't be a line item for like the credit card, because it would have to go with each expense.
Right.
So the line item
Very
would be the
limited.
expense. the
But we'd have the
for that
backup
expense
documentation.
Would be, and how many credit cards?
Just, well, one, so.
Well, because it has to be in an individual's name.
We're gonna try and get it for Torrington Board of Education. We're looking into that to see if we can do it that way. If it has to be in somebody's name, so be it, but it is only gonna be one. And it'll be one. It's not gonna be.
And I would have also like maybe the budget committee just to see what the procedures would be
Absolutely.
when that's.
Well, would that be an enhancement to the policy that you have, or just be a separate procedure for the credit card usage? Not a
Must be
policy.
administrative regulation.
Okay.
Right, yeah, right.
All right, we'll have,
Thank you.
anyone
Just so we
using the
can
card
see
would have to
that.
be approved by myself or designee.
Right, but just so we can,
See what their
yeah, see
guidelines
what the
are.
document is, so that we're just aware of it.
And like everything else that we spend our money on, it would be subject to the regular audit procedure. Yeah, I'm not really nervous about it. I just wanted to remark that there would be, sufficient controls in place.
I suspect I'd be more nervous about doing it the way we do it now than I
Yes.
am.
Yeah, then having. Right,
Yeah,
yes.
doing reimbursements is, I've had to do it a few times in government related fields of work, and it's always a nightmare. So hopefully this makes life easier for all of you and for the folks in finance.
Yeah, and it's better for the auditors.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
So-
The trail, the paper trail.
So clear, yeah.
Right, so with that, I would hear a motion adopting policy number 3052 for the use of credit cards as presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Putnam, seconded by Mr. Kisco. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the policy is adopted, thank God. items for the upcoming agenda. So we'll have a couple of different monthly financials, and we'll make sure to vote on each of them. Hopefully there will be by that time, draft board goals and something related to the self-evaluation. Let's see, I'm sure there will be some project updates, and maybe Dean will have some things related to capital for us to vote on. I guess it depends on how the money moves. And that's what I've got. Anyone else have anything you want to add for the upcoming agenda? Okay, nice and easy. Comments for the good of the order. We'll start. Anything?
Good meeting.
None, thank you.
Great job, everybody, on open to the school year, the building committee and all the work that's going into it. Much appreciated. The building is beautiful as you drive by. On the ad hoc committee, I look forward to having a member and a board member seeing the new plan and re-engaging all of those stakeholders again, because I do think that's an important part of the process. So I would look forward to that starting up again, and that should be it for tonight. Thanks.
Two things. First, thank you for this very short meeting. We got a lot done in a quick meeting. I appreciate efficient meetings. And also, thanks to whoever brought the Torrington High School furniture here. It's a lot better meeting. Whoever's idea that was.
I
And
didn't
whoever.
notice, this is the high school furniture?
Yeah, we don't have the little kitty chairs.
You know,
Yeah.
the seats.
Oh,
Someone didn't have to text the seat.
Right. It didn't sink in.
So thank you, whoever did the work, whoever's idea that was, and whoever did the work, thank you.
Very nice. So observant, Mr. Kisco. So observant.
Mr. Net, board chair.
Bill.
Most of the board knows that I have a GoFundMe page, which will be used to purchase a 90% voice activated smartphone because I wasn't able to use an iPhone because of dexterity problems that I have. But I wanted to report that the people have been very generous. The pages have generated enough funding for a phone to be purchased, which will the company will be sending they'll be sending a phone for me to try to make sure that it'll work for me before it's purchased. I know members of the board and possibly the administration, because there are some anonymous donations in the page as well. I just wanted to give a public update and thank folks who've been so generous on my behalf. It'll, if it works, and it should, it'll make me it'll make me a more effective board member, and that's a win-win for all of us.
You're already effective for us, Bill. We think you're very effective.
I'm excited. Let us know how it goes. I'm
Yes.
excited for.
Yeah, this is how it works for you.
Ellen.
Nothing at this time.
Great meeting. Thank you.
I did have a couple things, sorry, just as going through the packet. I wanted to just comment on the Drumming Dragons and being able to perform. I was sad that we didn't get their performance this year, but maybe at some point when we have a little shorter of an agenda, we can get a little preview from them.
So, there.
Yeah. The supplemental music program are the best buddies at TMS, and the SPDG grant for our SPED program is amazing. These are such great opportunities that our kids are getting, and we're so thrilled that you're able to take advantage of that. The liaison reports were excellent. The PTOC is reorganizing, right, Jeff? Yes, they're in the process of reorganizing, so things are kind of a little bit hectic, so we'll start getting updates on that maybe next month. We'll play that by ear, yeah. Let's see. The Torrington newsletter that I read, that every day at school matters, the tips that were built into there, oh, Kelly's still here. Oh, the tips about like saying to your friends, like, great job, we missed you when you weren't here, just those little things to get the kids engaged and feel like what they want to come to school. I just thought that was really great too. And the coffee hour, that's I saw that you had a special coffee hour in the class of 2037, which doesn't even seem possible. It seems like that's 100 years from now. But they were really cute pictures and seeing Benchmark in the works too. Oh my gosh, see what you know, I love that. But that's it. Good meeting and great start to the new year. Thank you all.
Yeah, I would also thank everybody for their hard work in the new year, and also I just want to give a special shout out to Laura and all the folks at Student Services, both for all the good news that you bring us, and also because it's been on my mind. I had occasion to speak with somebody who's a paraprofessional in another district whose continuing test score decline was just reported in the press today. I won't otherwise name the district, but you can find out. And she is always telling me all of the ways that their student services are a complete nightmare to work in and how they're failing their students. And I remain thankful every day that we have you and your team who've really turned around our student services department. I mean, some folks here have been around long enough on the board
Well,
or
there
working
wasn't
for us
long.
long enough to remember the conditions that student services were working under some years ago. And they were not good, to put it succinctly, and it wasn't good for our students either. So every month you bring us continued good news.
Thank you.
And it's all just really exciting stuff. And I just wanted to give you.
I've got a great start. Thank you.
You do. And that's all I have. Mr. Whitman.
Great meeting, and thank you to the board. As I've said numerous times, you're part of the team, integral part of the team. We can't do what we do on a daily basis without your support. So it goes a long way. And on behalf of everyone in the district, thank you.
Great meeting, everyone. Thanks.
Great meeting. Thank you. Great start to the school year.
Say.
Thank you.
Okay.
The two at the end of the table don't want to say anything.
Let's get some-
One day we're gonna get them to go on. You're right.
That's right.
She was promoting something for one of the schools. They're really excited about.
Okay, our future meetings are on the agenda in the packet and online. I'm not going to read them out.
Well, let's talk about that for just 2 seconds, though. There's the possibility of meeting next week at Torrington rather than at Midgeon. Is there a particular reason for that, or, I mean, not that it makes a difference to me. This is convenient too, as long as the room is open, it's convenient.
I think you would change, we tried to get as many as we could here for spacing
Okay.
purposes.
There's that
Somebody,
advantage certainly here.
is it open? Do we, right? Okay.
What
day is it next week?
The-
Wednesday, October 2nd.
Yeah, October 2nd.
When does your meeting start?
5:30.
Perfect. You're in.
So.
John, would you prefer it here?
I would.
Right, as long as the room can be
Right
open,
there.
as long as the room can be open ahead of time, so. when-
So you can get it, right, so Pete, we could, Phil and John usually come earlier.
Yeah,
So-
our faculty meeting ends at 5 o'clock that day, so we can.
Oh, so they'll be right here, they can let you in at 5.
Yeah, John's usually no more than half an hour.
If you come more than half hour early, you'll be in the faculty meeting.
He's got PTSD from when he had to do those.
No, Bill and I were standing out in the rain one time waiting at Torrington High School.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm a little,
Okay,
Are we doing tours next week?
no, with November will be the first meeting we have school.
Okay.
for.
okay, so in relation to that, if you look at our agenda and there's question mark next to Torrington for those meetings, they will be at Torrington.
Fine.
And with that, I would hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Because we are adjourned at, I forget my phone, whatever time it is,
7.
7 o'clock.
It's my second.